Frankly, John, if the Labour Party were to suspend me and claim that I in any way to contribute towards anti-Semitism, I would simply remind them that I was the first member of parliament in South Africa to introduce a motion on the Holocaust in the history of the South African parliament. I have lectured at Auschwitz on genocide prevention, where my mother lost 39 members of her family. If the Labour Party would like to suspend me for supporting Jeremy Corbyn in this particular instance, I would be very happy to defend myself and my commitment to fighting anti-Semitism and all racism.
Do you fear that there is a schism coming in the Labour Party?
I fear that the current leader of the Labour Party, who claimed that he was elected on a ticket of seeking unity, is doing the exact opposite and is creating divisions and ignoring a significant segment of Jewish Labour Party members who are very supportive of Jeremy Corbyn.
The red tie.
I've heard you this evening trying to defend your record on your vote, and then on the other hand you'll say how you're against these horrible Tory cuts, and I really can't trust you. And you got one difficult question and you immediately tried to turn it round to anti-Semitism. Jeremy Corbyn has been fighting anti-Semitism and racism in all its forms since before you were born, and you've got some brass neck to stand up there and call him an anti-Semite.
I myself have never experienced anti-Semitism from a member of the Labour Party, point one. And point two, though there is a big issue and it has to be addressed, I do not myself believe Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic. That is my honest view. You haven't asked me explicitly, but you've nevertheless drawn me, and I want to make that point. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a challenge in his party. I'm not saying that. It is an issue and it does need to be addressed, and I respect those who are very concerned about it, but I don't believe Jeremy Corbyn is anti-Semitic. I've known him for the 22 years that I've been in Parliament. Even actually when I was a right-winger, we got on pretty well. He was quite a personable individual.
Well, you probably voted with him more often than he did with the Labour government.
Well, he was certainly a persistent and prolific rebel. He's been very supportive of me. He's been very supportive of me, and I've never detected so much as a whiff of anti-Semitism.
Have you ever?
What about the British election? Jeremy Corbyn has been leading the Labour Party. They have an uphill task, according to the opinion polls. Have you any advice, any thoughts about how Labour refines its pitch and makes it to government in the UK?
You should ask me to vote. I would vote for him. I mean, they have a problem. I think he's a very decent, good person. Followed his career for some.
It's a time to declare our solidarity with all sections of the community who are under attack or under oppression. Jewish people that arrived in Britain from Russia at the end of the 19th century, the way they were characterized by the popular press, the way that then became physical attacks upon them, that then became a whole tide of anti-Jewish behavior, which enabled the Nazis to rise.
Whole generations of refugees around the world that are victims of various wars. It's those desperate people in camps in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Libya and so many other places. Desperate people trying to cross into Turkey and other places. They are all, in a sense, victims of wars. So surely, our objective ought to be to find peaceful solutions to the problems of this world. To spend our resources on helping people, not hindering people, and to try and bring about that world of decency, human rights and justice. And so, none of this is simple, none of this is easy. But surely we have a principle between us all, that we are all human beings on the same planet. We're all human beings who want to live. We're all human beings that want the children to live and the next generation to hopefully be better off than we are. And you think of those families eking out an existence in refugee camps all around the world. They too are ambitious. Their children too want to be artists, poets, writers, engineers, lawyers, journalists, medical practitioners, doctors, and everything else. The waste of human resources by the lack of human rights is one of the great crimes of the last and this century. So today here in Parliament Square, we as ordinary decent people stand up and say to our government, recognise your obligations in law. That would be good. Recognise your obligations to help people, which you're required to do by law. That would be good. But above all, open your hearts and open your minds and open your attitude towards supporting people who are desperate, who need somewhere safe to live, want to contribute to our society, and are human beings just like all of us. Together in peace, together in justice, together in humanity. That surely must be our way forward. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
We need to do far more to give a real voice to working class communities who feel they aren't heard in politics, often older people living outside the big cities in areas hit by decades of failed economic policies, a failure to invest and a failure to support the needed services in those areas. For 30 years, the media and the establishment tried to tell us that class doesn't matter anymore and that we should ditch any idea of representing and advancing the interests of the working class. We've seen where that's got us. Trade union membership fell, living standards fell, inequality and insecurity grew. That's why it's so important that Labour is back as the political voice of the working class in all its diversity, all across Britain. And we will be campaigning on the issues that matter to communities that have been held back and ignored across this country in the weeks and months to come. Labour exists to represent the large majority of the population, the many, not the few. Those on lower and middle incomes, the skilled and unskilled, nurses and teachers, shop floor workers, builders, designers, technicians, professionals in every community and every region and nation of the UK. Working class issues are our issues: jobs, homes, health, education. Working class values are our values: solidarity, collective strength, support for each other, pride in our communities. In government, we will put the interests of working class people centre stage to give the majority a decent chance, real control of their lives, and a larger share of the wealth that they themselves create.